is the blueprint for immortality hidden 10,000 feet above sea level. Recent breakthroughs reveal that high-elevation living triggers a cellular reorganization that challenges everything we know about neurodegeneration. Discover how the metabolic stress of the peaks is creating a survival mechanism that keeps the human brain sharp well into old age. Here's a question that shouldn't make sense. At 10,000 feet, there's roughly a third less oxygen available in every breath you take. Your heart works harder, your lungs strain. It's the kind of chronic low-grade stress that on paper should wear a body down faster, not preserve it. And yet, for over a decade, epidemiologists have been quietly documenting something strange in population health records. In 2015, a team led by researchers at the Puget Sound Faya Medical Center pulled dementia mortality data across California counties and found a striking pattern. As elevation went up, Alzheimer's death rates went down in some of the highest counties by close to 50% compared to sea-level communities, a pattern large enough to make neurologists sit up. The researchers were careful. This was correlational data drawn from where people died, not a clean, controlled trial. But it echoed something scientists had already suspected from earlier work on hypoxia and neurodegeneration, that oxygen, the very thing we assume our brains desperately need in abundance, might have a more complicated relationship with brain aging than we thought. So, what's actually happening at altitude that could protect a brain for decades? To understand this, we have to zoom into the cell, specifically into the mitochondria, the tiny power plants that keep every neuron in your brain running. When oxygen becomes scarce, cells don't just weaken, they adapt. A master regulatory protein called HIF1, hypoxia-inducible factor, switches on. Think of it as an emergency response coordinator. It reprograms how the cell makes energy, shifting some of the workload toward a backup pathway, glycolysis, which produces lactate. For years, lactate had a bad reputation, the burn you feel in a hard workout, dismissed as waste. We now know that's almost backwards. Lactate is a fuel. And under chronic mild hypoxic stress, the body appears to build what researchers increasingly describe as a kind of lactate shield, an upregulated capacity to produce, shuttle, and burn lactate efficiently, including inside the brain itself. Here's the part that matters for aging. This adaptation doesn't just help you survive a low oxygen afternoon. Over years of continuous exposure, it appears to reshape the metabolic architecture of brain tissue, increasing capillary density, encouraging mitochondrial turnover, and possibly clearing out some of the damaged cellular machinery that would otherwise accumulate and contribute to neurodegeneration. A 2025 modeling study looking at mitochondrial DNA dynamics proposed exactly this mechanism, that the inverse relationship between altitude and oxygen pressure may slow the clonal expansion of damaged mitochondrial mutants, the very process implicated in age-related neuron loss. In plain terms, a little bit of oxygen scarcity, sustained over a lifetime, may train the brain's power grid to become more resilient, not less. It's the same principle behind exercise: controlled stress, followed by adaptation, followed by a stronger system. Altitude may simply be applying that principle around the clock, at the level of every single cell. Now, obviously, most of us are not about to relocate to a village in the Peruvian highlands. So here's the question labs and biotech startups have been racing to answer. Can you simulate this adaptation without the mountain? The answer emerging from sports science and longevity research alike is a cautious yes, through a protocol called intermittent hypoxic training, or IHT. The idea is simple. Instead of living permanently at reduced oxygen, you expose the body to short, controlled bouts of low oxygen air, often in the range of 9 to 14% oxygen, compared to the 21% we breathe at sea level, interspersed with normal or oxygen-enriched breathing. Sessions typically run 30 to 50 minutes a few times a week. These devices work by blending nitrogen and oxygen through a separation membrane, delivering a precisely dialed-in low-oxygen mixture while sensors track blood oxygen saturation and heart rate in real time, automatically adjusting the intensity so the body gets stressed just enough to trigger adaptation without tipping into anything dangerous. And this isn't only for athletes chasing endurance gains anymore. Small clinical pilot studies have started testing IHT specifically in older adults with mild cognitive impairment, and early results have shown improvements in short-term memory and attention, alongside signs of enhanced cerebral oxygenation. It's early-stage evidence from small samples, but it's a genuinely new direction, using hypoxia not as a workout hack, but as a cognitive intervention. Alongside the clinical-grade chambers and masks, a wave of consumer biowearables is now trying to bring a lighter version of this into everyday life. Devices that monitor blood oxygen continuously and, in some cases, pair with breath training or altitude tent systems designed to nudge the body toward that same lactate shield response, one session at a time, from an apartment in the middle of a city. To be clear, the research is still young, and not every study agrees on the size of the benefit. A major 2025 meta-analysis found that for pure athletic performance, some forms of intermittent hypoxic training showed inconsistent results. But cognitive protection appears to be a distinct, separate question, and it's exactly where the newest research is now pointing. For most of modern wellness culture, oxygen has been treated as an unambiguous good. The more, the better. Oxygen bars, hyperbaric chambers, pure O2 canisters sold at ski resorts. But the altitude data is quietly rewriting that assumption. What if the goal isn't maximizing oxygen, but training the relationship with it, teaching the body to become metabolically flexible, capable of thriving across a range of oxygen availability rather than depending on a constant, saturated supply? That reframing has real implications. It suggests brain aging isn't simply a matter of accumulating damage over time. It may also be a matter of metabolic complacency. Systems that, never challenged, slowly lose the adaptive machinery that keeps them resilient. Populations who spend a lifetime at elevation aren't doing anything exotic. Their bodies are simply never given the option to stay metabolically comfortable. And that discomfort, paradoxically, might be exactly what a long-lived brain needs. Researchers are careful to note this is still an evolving picture. Altitude living comes bundled with other variables, different diets, more walking, tighter-knit rural communities, and untangling how much of the cognitive benefit comes from oxygen physiology alone versus lifestyle is an open scientific question. Nobody is claiming altitude is a guaranteed cure for Alzheimer's. But taken together, the population data, the cellular mechanisms, and now the early clinical work in intermittent hypoxic training, a genuinely new model of brain longevity is taking shape. Not one built on protecting the brain from every possible stressor. One built on the idea that a carefully dosed, recurring metabolic challenge might be exactly what keeps a brain young. So, is the blueprint for immortality really sitting at 10,000 feet? Probably not immortality, but a blueprint for a sharper, more resilient brain in old age. The evidence is starting to say maybe. And the most exciting part is that this blueprint might not require a plane ticket to the Himalayas. It might just require learning, quite literally, how to hold your breath a little differently. If you found this as fascinating as we did, subscribe for more deep dives into the science reshaping how we think about aging, and let us know in the comments. Would you try intermittent hypoxic training?